Next item under consideration is Senate File 3064, Senator Pappas.
Thank you, Mr. President. We've all heard of diamonds that were used in the 1980s to finance brutal conflicts in parts of Africa. They were called blood diamonds. Today, a similar tragedy is occurring with the minerals that are in all of our small electronics, our cell phones, our laptops, our music players, and our computer games. These are called conflict minerals. Every time a cell phone vibrates, it's because of a conflict mineral called coltan. 90% of the world's coltan is found under the ground in northeast Congo. Since 1996, more than 6 million people have been killed in the fighting over these minerals. Government armies, militia groups, and ordinary citizens perpetrate terrible acts of violence to force people off the land. These armed groups then extract and sell the minerals to purchase more weapons and to try to control the area. In 2010, the U.S. passed the Dodd-Frank Wall Street Reform Act. One part of this act, Section 1502, requires that American electronics companies that are publicly traded report their mineral purchases from Congo to the Securities and Exchange Commission. This simple act of transparency in purchasing is helping to reduce the human rights violations in the mining regions, and that's what we're asking with this legislation. 2 states, California and Maryland, have passed bills requiring that their state electronics purchases come only from companies that are in compliance with Dodd-Frank in this reporting requirement. Senate File 3064 would do the same for Minnesota. Members, one of the most horrific acts of violence is rape, and Congo has been known as the rape capital of the world. Women and girls are raped in Congo with a brutality that is beyond belief. In the State and Local Government Committee hearing, where the bill passed unanimously, we heard testimony from Dr. Edwige Mubonzi, a physician who works in Congo. She spoke about a woman she has treated at her clinic who had been raped. The woman came back months later, and this time she had a baby with her, a 6-month-old daughter born of that rape. Dr. Mabonzi feared that the woman had been raped again. But it was the baby that had been raped. The infant's body had been torn apart inside, and fluids were leaking through the baby's vagina. Dr. Mubonzi described the horror of this problem and what is now becoming intergenerational rape. This bill, which our Department of Administration feels has no negative cost or impact on our state purchases, is the right and moral thing to do. Our insatiable desire for electronics makes us responsible. We can take a small step toward enhancing safety for women and girls in the Congo by passing Senate File 3064. And every time I use my cell phone, I think of that baby. Appreciate your support.
Thank you, Senator Pappas. Members, additional discussion on Senate File 3064. Seeing Senator Hand.
Thank you, Mr. President. And would the author answer a question?
The author will yield. Senator Hand.
Thank you, Mr. President. And Senator Pappas, I'm just curious about this. This applies to the executive branch only. Is this not something that the governor could just direct his executive branch officers to do? Do we need to have a law to do this? I'm just curious about it. It seems a little odd that we would pass a law like this when it seems like this could be something that the governor could just direct.
Senator Pappas.
Thank you, Mr. President and Senator Hand, for an excellent question. The Department of Administration has indicated that they currently are in compliance, but to put it in law means we're not at risk of any problem with future administrations. The governor's executive order could potentially only last for his administration. So I think it's important that we make this statement today that we are all interconnected in the world, and actions that we do here do have ramifications, both positive and negative, around the world. Thank you.
Thank you, Senator Pappas. Senator Westrom.
Mr. President, if Senator Pappas would yield.
She will. Senator Westrom.
Mr. President, Senator Pappas, I heard your beginning statements on the floor. I thought said 90 or 95% of the metals or some product comes from the Congo. Can you restate that? I didn't hear what it was, what the mineral or the product was that you were saying such a large percentage comes from there.
Senator Pappas.
Thank you, Mr. President. Senator Westrom. The mineral is coltan, C-O-L-T-A-N. 90% of the world's coltan is found under the ground in northeast Congo, and I believe the rest comes from China.
Thank you, Senator Pappas. Senator Westrom.
Mr. President, Senator Pappas, if you'd continue to yield.
She will.
Senator Pappas, what is coltan and what do we use it for in our technology? I'd be interested to know if this and China are the only two places we get it.
Senator Westrom, I feel like Senator Carlson will jump in here. Senator Pappas.
Senator Carlson wants.
No, I'm sorry.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Again, Mr. President, it's used in small electronics and cell phones, laptops, music players, and computer games. It's what makes your cell phone vibrate.
Thank you, Senator Pappas. Senator Westrom, further?
Well, Mr. President, members, if 90% of that product comes from this country and the rest only comes from China, I guess it gives me pause or concern that there might be unintended ramifications here. I hear the horrific stories. I just appreciate knowing what kind of metals come from the Congo. Many of us just take it for granted that the metals come from somewhere, and unfortunately, metals that could come from northern Minnesota aren't being mined here. So that maybe is a good point that people should think about. But thanks, Senator Pappas, for informing us where 90% of the metals come from.
Thank you, Senator Westrom. Members, any further discussion? Seeing none, the Secretary will give the bill its third reading.
Senate File Number 3064, a bill for an act relating to state government, prohibiting an agency from procuring goods or services from persons that fail to disclose, as required by federal law, information relating to conflict minerals.
Further discussion on Senate File 3064. Seeing none, the Secretary will take the roll.
This is your chance for your conscience to exclude 90% of the metal. No, they just have to be sure that they're not done with torture. I'm not going to question them. What the Muslims cutting heads off? I'll have an amendment. It would have been a great amendment.
All members having voted who desire to vote? All members having voted who desire to vote, the Secretary will close the roll. There being 47 ayes and 7 nays, the bill is passed and its title adopted.